What's going on, everyone? Coach Arian here, back in with another video to help you dominate the platform. Today we're going to go over what the heck a jury is and how you can use it to your advantage. So let's get right to it. Alrighty everyone, welcome back to another video. Thanks for tuning in. If you don't know who I am and you are new here to this channel, my name is Arian Khamesi. I'm a powerlifting coach, athlete, meet director, and referee, and I make videos here on this channel to help out those groups of people with whatever knowledge I can provide. Hope you all had a good weekend and you are having a good week. I know this video is a little bit late for this week compared to the previous weeks I've been putting up all these videos. That's just because I was a little bit busy this past weekend. On Saturday, I drove to a competition in Orlando. This is my first competition back since March, since the lockdown. So maybe some videos coming up, I'll talk about that experience. But the competition was all Sunday, and then driving back on Monday, catching up on all my coaching emails, all that kinds of stuff. So now that I've gotten all that stuff out of the way, then I can start making the videos again. And maybe you can even see some of my experience with coming back to the competition with wearing my mask. Is you can see my nose is still scratched up from wearing this mask. I try to wear this heavy duty one that will be more secure while I'm like setting up everything, moving equipment, all that kind of stuff. And then also during the competition running around. But I guess this inside cloth kind of scratched my nose the entire day. So felt pretty beat up after setting up and breaking down and working the meet all day compared to 7 months of here in my room doing pretty much nothing. But what I wanted to go over today in the video before I go more into competition stuff is another video request. So someone DM'd me and I saw it while I was coming back from Orlando saying I should do a video on what a jury is, which competitions have a jury, how it works as far as getting a lift overturned, that kind of stuff. So I figured it'd be a good video to make. We can always go to my computer and go through the rule book and go over everything in there as far as a jury. But basically what a jury does is they preside over one platform or two platforms depending on what level competition is, and they watch over the referees to make sure the rules are being followed correctly and that the judgment from the referee, whether it's a good lift or no lift, is done correctly. So which competitions have a jury? Typically it's going to be the higher level competition. So almost no local competition is going to have a jury just because it's not really necessary and we don't always have enough volunteers. So I think maybe the last time we had a jury here in Florida for a local competition was a couple of years ago, and even then that was just like a one-off thing. It's very rare, and I'm sure in other states that there is no jury. You just have the referees on the platform and whatever the call is the call. But once you get to those higher level competitions, for example the USA Powerlifting regional championships will have a jury, the national championships will have a jury, the Arnold Sports Festival, and also any North American championship or world championship is going to have that jury there to make sure for the highest level competitions, for the most important lifts that dictate a world title, a world record, anything like that, they have the jury there to make sure everything is followed correctly. And as far as who's in the jury, it's either 3 or 5 referees, okay? So it just depends on the level of competition. Most often it's 3 referees, but sometimes they do 5 referees for bigger sessions of world championships. And in USA Powerlifting, typically the jury is going to be 1 level or maybe 2 levels above the platform referee. So for example, if it's a national championship, then in the chair will be the national referees, maybe sometimes a IPF category 2 referee, and then in the jury will be the category 2 referees, and oftentimes the category 1 referees, the highest level referees. That way the highest level referees with the most experience are watching over the national referees, or maybe sometimes the cat 2s if they're in there. And then same thing for a world championship. In the chairs will often be the category 2 referees, which for the IPF is the lower level one. And then in the jury will be the highest level, the IPF category 1 referees. And oftentimes you'll also have the technical chairman in there or the president in there as like the head of the jury. So let's head on over to my computer and we'll go over how to find the rulebook and find the jury section of the rulebook and go over some more details. All right, so I got USAPowerlifting.com pull up here. You can go to the USAPL Rulebook or the IPF Rulebook, since the USAPL Rulebook has parts of the IPF rules in there, but it's just easier for me just to pull up the USAPL Rulebook and search it. So when you come here to USAPowerlifting.com, and hopefully you like my little Halloween theme, spooky setting right here, but hopefully you guys can still see everything. Go to USAPowerlifting.com, you come here to About Us, and then you go down to Rules and Bylaws. You click on that, And then you'll see we have the USA Powerlifting Rulebook here. And then down below, we also have the IPF Rulebook, but let's just go to the USA Powerlifting Rulebook. And now we can make this a little bit bigger. And the reason why I like the USA Powerlifting Rulebook is all these are linkable. So when you click on it, it sends you straight down to that section. So if we go down towards the end of the rulebook, you'll see right here, Jury and Technical Committee for National International Competitions, page number 54. So when I click on that, it sends me right to page number 54, right to the section for the jury. So you'll see the first line, number 1, at national, world, and continental championships, a jury will be appointed to preside over each lifting session. So at any national championship or world championship, you have to have that jury there. See if I can make this a little bigger. All right, and then here, just like I said, the jury consists of 3 or 5 category 1 referees for international competitions. Sometimes at the national championships, we do use category 2s. It just depends on how many volunteers we have, when they're available, that kinds of stuff. All right, and an important note for international competitions is that right here for number 3, you'll see it's from different nations. So the way they referee for international competitions is that each referee in the chair that's actually on the platform refereeing will be from a different country. And then the jury members, each jury member wears 3 or 5, will also be from a different country. That way we try and take the bias out of it. And so everyone's from a different country, and also you have the jury watching over the referees on the platform to make sure everything is being followed correctly. And you see that right there with number 4, ensures that technical rules are correctly applied. All right, and then point number 5, some of the stuff that the jury may do is just watch over the referees. Even if no one comes, if a lifter or coach doesn't come to protest, the jury will still watch over the referees to make sure they're following the rules correctly, make sure there's no bias or anything like that. And so the jury can discuss among themselves and then go talk to a referee and say like, hey, what did you see? You missed this call or something like that. You're judging this incorrectly. And if they feel that the referee is not performing their duties properly, then they can vote to remove that referee and place another referee in there, or may move a jury member to the referee. So they can do that on their own. But the part that usually comes up is how do you protest a call? So as a lifter or coach, you can go protest your own call. So if your call was a no lift, you can go protest it and say that you thought it was a good lift. And you can also protest a lifter from another country. So if they had a good lift, you can always go protest the jury and say, hey, I thought that was a wrong call. I thought it was a no lift. But an important thing to note is this doesn't happen all the time. People want to go and protest every single call. If like their depth was just right on the line and they thought it was just barely in and the referees thought it was just barely out, they're going to go protest it. And that's not what it's meant for. So you'll see here on number 9, you'll see that it's only in extreme circumstances. And then here later on, it says when there has been a obvious or blatant mistake. Okay. So it's not like, okay, a close call on depth or something like that. It is when the referee in the chairs made an obvious and blatant mistake, and the jury feels that they can clearly see the mistake the referees made, and then they're going to overturn it into a good call, or from a good call to a bad call. So it has to be something that's obvious, a blatant mistake, not something that's like questionable and maybe 50% of referees think it was depth and 50% of referees didn't think it was depth. Okay, so it has to be an extreme circumstance. The other thing is you'll see here in the last sentence, only a 2-to-1 decision can be considered by the jury. So it has to be 2 white lights and 1 red light, or it has to be 2 red lights and 1 white light. So it can't be a 3 white light call or a 3 red light call, because that means the referees on the platform were all unanimous in their decision, whether it was a good lift or a bad lift, so the jury can't overturn it. And one way to think about this is like majority rules in powerlifting. In almost every aspect, majority rules. So 2 white lights out of the 3 gives you a good lift. 2 red lights out of 3 gives you a no lift. So that's the majority. But also when the jury's overturning it, if the 3 referees on the platform thought it was a good lift and the 3 jury members thought it was a no lift, they can't overturn it because it's not majority. And same thing the other way, if the 3 on the platform thought it was a no lift and the 3 jury members thought it was a good lift. But if it's a 2-to-1 call, okay, so let's say 2 referees thought it was a good lift, 1 thought it was a no lift. Then in the jury, if 3 referees thought it was a no lift, now you have 4 between the 3 jury members and the 1 on the platform that thought it was a no lift, and only 2 on the platform that thought it was a good lift. So that is a majority and they can overturn it. So that's kind of way to think of it, is majority rules in powerlifting. So first of all, you have to have that 2-to-1 decision, one way or the other. Then the jury can discuss it. They can go talk to referees, ask why they called it a certain way, talk among themselves, and then it has to be that unanimous decision by the jury. So it can't just be one jury member thought they should overturn it, or even two jury members thought they should overturn it. It has to be all three, or if there's a 5-man jury, all 5 have to unanimously decide that we want to overturn this call because the referees made that blatant and obvious mistake. And then some final points in the rule book worth mentioning that are in a different section. So I came over here to page 43. Under miscellaneous rules, there are some additional rules about what the jury can do. They can remove a lifter from the competition or a coach from the competition area or warm room if there are reports of misconduct or anything like that. So some extra things here in the miscellaneous section. So here under 10, you'll see any lifter or coach for reason of misconduct can be warned, and then the jury can also decide to disqualify them. But also what I want to mention here is under point number 13. So typically what happens is if I want to go, I'm the coach and I want to go protest for my own lifter and say, hey, I thought that was good, the butt stayed down on bench, whatever it is, I just go to the jury as me, the coach, the lifter goes off to the side, back to the warm room, and I say, hey, I want to protest that call. I thought their butt stayed down, or I thought there was no downward motion. The jury members will discuss it and they'll give me their decision, and then whatever way it goes, that's the way it goes, and then just go back to the warm room. But if you want to protest against another lifter from another team, or maybe you want to protest against a referee or something like that, any misconduct or anything like that, it has to be a written complaint. And here you'll also see you have to provide 75 euros, 100 US, or equivalent in any currency. The reason for that is that they don't want coaches or lifters to just constantly come and protest lifters from another team and just like protest every single lifter in the flight to try and overturn every single call. So what they say is if you are going to protest it, write down what the protest is, who the lifter is, what the call was, what you think it should be, and then provide the 75 euros. Then they will discuss it. They'll go talk to referees if they need to, all that kind of stuff, and then they'll make their decision. Separate from their decision, whether they overturn the call or not, if they believe that you are making a protest in a frivolous or mischievous nature, as it says here, then they will keep that money to try and stop the lifter or coach from constantly coming and do it, because you'll run out of money if you try and do that. But if they didn't think that you were trying to be mischievous or cheat the system or something, they thought it was a legit protest, then they will return the money to you, even if you didn't get the call right. So you can go protest against someone who got a good lift and say, hey, I thought that was high, it wasn't to depth, write your complaint, give your money, and the jury could go against you and say, no, we thought it was a good lift, depth was fine, but they didn't think you were trying to be mischievous or that it was a frivolous complaint. They'll still give you your money back. So that is separate from whether you win the protest or not. It's just trying to stop people from just gaming the system and holding up the whole competition, protesting every call. Because like I said, it's supposed to be a blatant or obvious mistake by the referees. All right, so if you are at a higher level competition like a USAPL regional championship or national championship, if you're at the Arnold Sports Festival, one of the events, if you're at a world championship, then you're gonna have the jury there, and you can use the jury to your advantage, whether you are a lifter or you are coaching a lifter. So if you get a 2-to-1 call that goes one way or the other that you don't agree with, then you can always go to the jury. If it's your lifter, you can go and protest it and say, hey, that was a 2-to-1 no call. I thought it was a good lift. Explain it, let them discuss it, let them go talk to referees, and then give you the call or their decision. And if it was going against another lifter, just make sure you have some paper or something available. That's why you are the coach, so that you can just write down real quick what the name was, what the complaint was, and then also have the money ready in your pocket. So usually when we're coaching at Worlds, me or one of my assistant coaches will have just money in their wallet ready to go so that they can pop it out. We write the complaint, we protest, and then we see what happens. And then we almost always get our money back because we're not there doing frivolous complaints. We are making legit protests against other countries. And if you saw the World Championships last year in Sweden, you may have seen this on the live stream. Sometimes they'll show the coach going over to the jury and you'll see them discussing it. And there was actually some pictures and stuff of me like pulling money out of my pocket and putting it on the table when we were doing a protest. And people who don't know the rules and don't know how powerlifting works saw those videos and made screenshots, and I saw a post on Reddit saying like, oh, did the US team bribe the jury in order to flip a call? And it's not bribing the jury, it is what we are mandated to do by the rule book. You have to put that money there to stop people from just protesting every single call. So as a coach, you have to make sure you are prepared that way with your paper, your pen, and your money if you're trying to protest against another lifter, or if you're trying to protest against a referee or some coach in the warm room or something like that. Make sure you always have some extra paper and pen handy so that you can do that that, and you have a written complaint there ready for the jury. And for the USAPL local competitions, while there's almost never a jury, you can still talk to the referees. So what you can do as a lifter or a coach is, for example, you'll say you get called red lights for a squat. You can go over and talk to one of the referees, and oftentimes the referee may just pull a lifter to the side real quick and explain what the issue was and tell them, hey, you didn't go deep enough. You want to make sure on your next one to go deep enough, or hey, you jumped the rack command. Make sure you listen to the commands and explain what the commands are, so you can communicate with the referees that way. In addition, there are some times where you can get a relift even without a jury. So one example would be, let's say after your lifter already started a lift, or maybe once they racked it, you saw there was a misload. You see like the spotters took off plates off of one side, but they were not on the other side. Then you can quickly go to one of the side referees or the chief and say, hey, that was a misload, look, and they'll check it and they'll see it's a misload. In that case, they're not overturning their own call, since obviously if they called it a certain way on the platform, they can't just go and overturn themselves. That's not how it works. But if there was a misload, then the call of what the lift was done doesn't matter. The wrong weight was on the bar, so then they can see it. They can give you a relift at the end of the flight and put the correct weight on the bar, and then your lifter can try that again. So there are little things like that where normally a jury would see the misload and do the relift, where the platform referees can do that if you are aware of everything and you catch it in time and let them know. But you can't just go and protest a call that the referees made without the jury there for local competitions. So in those cases, you have to just live with whatever call is made on the platform, which is fine because it's just a local competition and we are limited in those referees and other volunteers. But hopefully this video helped you out. If you liked it, maybe something you didn't know about, give it a like. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this, and check out my spooky theme for this month, or maybe I'll do it just for a couple weeks and we'll see if I'll switch it to another one for November. As always, share it with a friend. If there's someone who competes at national and international competitions and has asked you, what are those people in the corner, or how does the jury work? Maybe you know an up and coming coach that's going to be coaching at like a nationals for the first time next year. You can send this video over to them so they can gain some more knowledge and get prepared for those higher level competitions. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a good day. As always, comment below whatever topics you want me to discuss, just like this one was a viewer requested topic, and I'll see you guys next time.